In this lesson, we're going to be looking at the Cold War that started in America, that started after World War II, and it takes place. It affects America, Korea, Afghanistan, Vietnam, Europe. It's pretty wide-reaching. Why exactly is this term used to describe this war? If you remember from world history, it's because it's more of a competition, a war of words between our two nations, but we never physically began to fight each other. Countries that we were involved with did fight each other. So make sure you got your Cornell notes out and your teak book, and let's go. This is kind of the outline of what we're doing. In this little 10-minute video, we're going to be looking at point 1, what Russia wanted was different from what America wanted. So take a second and get this question jotted down, and you will find more detailed information about 260s on page 260. So take some time to read there. Here's a quick summary of what you should have ran across in your reading. So make sure you summarize some of these major ideas. This is interesting, the difference between how Churchill wanted Europe to be rebuilt versus Roosevelt's plan. So if you get a chance, go visit that link. Take a second, pause, write down this essential question in your Cornell notes, and spend some time reading about the Yalta Conference on page 260. What exactly was decided at the Yalta Conference? Notice we have Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin in the beginning, and a few months later when they meet, Churchill's successor, Attlee, FDR's successor, Truman, but Stalin is still the same. Some of the things that came out of the Yalta and Potsdam conferences were the division of Germany, which you should have in your notes, the creation of the United Nations, which should be on your timeline because it's highlighted in blue. In New York City, they have United Nations. That's the headquarters of it. And take a look at this quote that they have outside of it. Why do you think they chose this quote from the book of Isaiah? They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So the official beginning of the Cold War. So let's go to page 261 and let's read about some reasons why there was initial tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. This slide does a summary of that. And really on our side, Stalin is mad at us because he thought that we should give him the secrets of the atomic bomb so he could have used it on Germany. And, we're upset with him because he's installing communism into these countries that are struggling and trying to get back on their feet when we think they should be rebuilt in a capitalistic fashion. So what was the Iron Curtain? Still on page 267. Take some time to read about that. It comes from a quote from Winston Churchill where he's talking about this dividing line that happened in Europe between those countries that wanted to be free and democratic versus those countries where Stalin wanted to exert his control. So take a second, look at this political cartoon and answer these two questions. Make sure you use your key to help you. So here's that line I was talking about. You can't physically visit the Iron Curtain, but it represents the difference in ideas. Democratic capitalist versus the Soviet Union and the satellite nations where it established communism. So check out these two political cartoons. In each cartoon, you have two countries portrayed. Here's a country, here's a country, here's a country, here's a country. Who do they represent? Why do you think the cartoonist drew them this way? And what is the fear that each country has in terms of influence that the other country might have? Here's some more cartoons based on your reading on 260 and 261. You should be able to figure out the ideas, the intent behind this cartoon. So pause it here and answer these 3 questions in your notes. Same thing here. Pause, study it, zoom in if you need to. Check out these 3 questions. So let's end with a question that came from the STAR exam. Immediately after World War II, the relationship between the United States and the Soviet Union became strained for what reason? So do your best, and if you have any questions, let me know. We'll go to part 2, the Truman Doctrine.